Everyone's favorite, female Lolcow, Alana having a child is a form of disability. I would never lie to you. I have never lied to you. Ignore these countless hundreds of videos that prove that I am a pathological liar. Pierce. She made a video, boys. Yes, every video she makes, if you did not know, is effectively a hot take. Not because of her opinions being actually spicy, but she's just that stupid most of the time. It is truly a miracle. The last time we had a Alanah Pearce main channel video, she was talking about the situation of gaming, how she was in the boardrooms of Raytheon and other companies listening to their opinions about the situation of the gaming industry. Yes, that's right. And this time, she's going to give us her opinions about The Last of Us Part 2. And knowing Alana, that means she probably went to outer space, encountered an alien civilization, and listened to their boardroom meeting about what the impact of The Last of Us 2. This woman is, she's truly something, boys, okay? She's truly something, and the closer she comes to hitting the wall, the more of that something we see. It's a wild ride.
While I respect your opinion, I am not in the camp of people who
Starting off already strong with insanely wild lies. Boys, this may be a hot take, but I don't think Alana respects our opinion.
think that The Last of Us Part 2 is a perfect video game. The only perfect video game to ever exist is, of course, Deadly Premonition. And the valley between The Last of Us Part 2 and Deadly Premonition is wide and perilous.
You did a
Here you
joke.
go. The usual. 1 turkey, strawberry jam, and cereal sandwich.
Sounds like the sinner's sandwich. Self-inflicted punishment to atone for past sins. He's setting an example.
But who
Wow, that was way too long and bad even for Alana, I'm not gonna lie. We're starting off strong, boys, and we have almost 30 minutes of this.
could compete with that, you know? So the area where I bounce off of The Last of Us Part 2 is mostly on a thematic level. It's a story about hate and revenge and violence in which two people who rightfully hate each other hatefully commit vengeful violence despite the fact that it is clearly not serving them in any way. My perspective, like, very early on to the game was, damn, you guys really should stop doing this.
She's already wrong about the premise of The Last of Us 2, especially. It's not rightful vengeance. The whole point of The Last of Us 2, to a very, very high degree, is that it's wrongful vengeance. Abby takes vengeance against Joel because she doesn't know why he did what he did, and he was objectively right to do what he did, and that's the reality of it. And then Ellie tries to take vengeance against Abby for, just hating her. It's objectively not actually good vengeance. It's not justified vengeance. Objectively, they're both misguided.
You just quit at any time. And so because I think I adopted that feeling so early, the game's narrative consistently reinforcing it felt maybe a little confusing. I know this is bad. I'm not the one doing it. I already knew that. You don't have to keep telling me. 30 minutes in, followed by, oh shit, still doing that, huh? Probably a good time to quit, but then they don't. Because that's the whole point. Which related, I recently did a podcast with my good friends Elise Willems, Jane Willems, and Ryan Haley all about Park Chan-wook's Vengeance trilogy for any film buffs who might be watching. It's over on my podcast channel. Check it out. Now, I could make a video listing criticisms that I have of The Last of Us Part 2, but there are probably enough of those on YouTube already.
No, that would shut doors for her with opportunities with Naughty Dog, so that's why we're not doing that.
And this video, before I inevitably probably change the title because I do that a lot, is called In the Defense.
Also, at this point, Neil Druckmann is probably so desperate for anyone saying anything good about The Last of Us that this is unironically probably one of the greatest financial opportunities of her life.
Of The Last of Us Part 2. I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it receives what feels to me to be misplaced scrutiny in some places. Of course, if you hate this game, you're entitled to feel that way. That is fine. But ultimately, I just want to talk about some of the things that I don't see often spoken about as much, I guess. Maybe you'll find it interesting. I don't know. I'm not trying to convince you in any direction. It's just a particular approach that they had to narrative design that I think is very interesting.
I'm not trying to convince you, but here's a video explaining why The Last of Us 2 is actually good. Okay.
But first, because this game came out in 2020, which simultaneously feels like it was 1 year ago and 20 years ago, a plot recap. Though I will admit, trying to stick to Abby and Ellie, and Joel specifically here, and am thus omitting some info and some side characters. There are just certainly way better videos to watch for a full plot recap if that's what you're after. I'm just trying to give you the information to remind you of the stuff, to talk about the stuff I want to talk about. So, hot off the heels of the first game, which I'm assuming you're already familiar with. If you are not,
Wait, does she have more tattoos now? Did she even previously have tattoos? Oh, that is one of the first signs of the vaults closing in, boys. Tattoos to make yourself look fresh and stuff. Ah, boys, it's gonna be a good couple of years soon.
you know, what? How? I guess at this
Hot. Listen, this is my prediction. There's gonna be literally YouTube careers launched off of making fun of Alana in the upcoming years. Okay, this is how good it's gonna get.
point, Joel admits to his brother Tommy that he prevented in-game organization the Fireflies and their surgeons from attempting to make a cure for the cordyceps outbreak that ravaged the world. He did so by saving his daughter Ellie, who is the sole person found to be immune from the outbreak from a surgical procedure that would have
God forbid a man has hobbies.
killed her. But he never told her he did this. He actually lied to her about it. Wow. What a jerk. 4 years later, Joel and Ellie live in a sort of safe haven town in Jackson, Wyoming, but their relationship is not great. Joel and Tommy go out on a routine patrol and rescue a stranger named Abby from an infected horde before escaping to a hideout occupied by Abby and her friends. Shortly after, Ellie and her girlfriend Dina start searching for Joel and Tommy, and they find them, just as Abby
Cringe.
very, very brutally murders Joel with a golf club. Because one of the doctors that Joel killed during his rampage at the end of the first game was Abby's dad. Joel took Abby's dad away from her. Abby takes Ellie's not dad away from her. Abby spares Ellie and Tommy and leaves. And Tommy and Ellie almost immediately set out on a revenge mission of their own. So Tommy goes to Seattle on the hunt for Abby. Ellie and Dina, they follow. Ellie specifically ends up tracking down one of Abby's friends, Nora, and tortures her for information on Abby's location, which, like, fucks her up a little bit, because it's a horrible thing to do. Ellie, you psycho. The next day, Ellie kills 2 more members of Abby's group, and around this time we get a flashback sequence that tells us that Ellie found out that Joel prevented the Fireflies from operating on her. Ellie is super pissed because Joel took the choice
Because she's an emotional woman, and that's stupid.
away from her and cuts ties with him. Jump back to the present.
You took my ability to commit self-deletion in Minecraft from me, you evil person. Oh, Neil Druckmann. You're such an unbelievable loser.
Ellie gets ambushed by Abby, who kills one of Ellie's friends and holds Tommy hostage. In another much more recent flashback, and now from Abby's perspective, Abby learns that her ex-boyfriend Owen has gone missing and goes looking for him. Things ensue, and Abby is helped by some ex-religious cultists named Yara and Lev, and Yara breaks her arm.
Clip her wings.
Huh?
Abby eventually finds Owen, who's decided he's sick of the war and he's going to fuck off to Santa Barbara, California. Abby goes back to Yara and Lev and sets out to help Yara with her arm problem. I had, like, totally forgotten about the quest for Yara's arm before, like, researching to write this recap. So, Yara has been de-armed, and Lev runs away to convince his mother to leave the religious cult with him, but accidentally kills her in self-defense. Oops. At this point, Abby's
Accidentally. Okay.
organization, the WLF, begin an assault on the cultists, and Abby betrays the WLF in order to save them, as in Yara and Lev. But Yara sacrifices herself to allow Abby and Lev to escape. Wow, Yara. After all I did for your arm, you just go and die anyway. Thanks for wasting my goddamn time. Abby and Lev return to find Owen and Mel, who is
I don't think that was a joke, by the way.
also pregnant, by the way. A lot of pregnancy in this game. But yeah, they're both dead. And she finds them alongside, and to be
Oh, is Abby the father?
clear, I always hated this
Gonna be a dad! God damn, that's nightmare fuel.
particular thing. I just think this is very silly. Her dead friends are also with a map that Ellie left leading to her hideout. She just dropped a map that leads to exactly where her hideout is. I guess in the context of these murders, she was very stressed out because she just killed a pregnant woman, but still. So Abby is big mad, shoots Tommy, beats the crap out of Ellie and Dina, Lev convinces her to spare them, and they leave Seattle. Several months later, Ellie and Dina live on a farm with Dina's son, but Ellie has some pretty rough PTSD, which, you know, checks out considering the circumstances that are her entire life. Tommy shows up and tells Ellie that he found
Being a dad, Ellie, that's so cringe.
Abby, and even though Dina begs her not to, Ellie can't help herself. She goes to find her. Abby and Lev have arrived in Santa Barbara. They are looking for the Fireflies, but they get captured and left to die by some jerks. Ellie shows up and saves Abby and Lev, and then forces Abby, who's just really tired at this point, to fight her. Abby bites off 2 of Ellie's fingers, and Abby nearly drowns Ellie, but stops herself. Abby and Lev sail off to Catalina Island. I was just there with my mum like a few weeks ago. It's a really lovely place to be in an apocalypse.
Listen, the theoretical, listen, on a very theoretical level, this is probably kind of, no, it's not really a hot take. When you think about on a very theoretical level, when you only leave like one part of the idea of The Last of Us in, The Last of Us is theoretically not a disaster, you know? It's about revenge not being worth it. But listen, bitch. If someone bites off 2 of my fingers, I'm not leaving them alive, okay? If revenge was not worth it, then it surely is now, because I liked those 2 fingers. So, yeah.
Apocalypse, I imagine.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm ready to take on the Catalina wine mixer.
Ho, ho, slow down there, Speed Racer.
I know what it entails, and I'm ready to nail
Ellie
it.
returns to the farmhouse, but Dina is not there. She picks up Joel's old guitar with her now sans 2 fingers hand and thinks about her final conversation with Joel, in which she told him she wanted to forgive him in what I would consider to be one of the most heartbreaking and phenomenally well acted scenes in video game history. It broke my heart.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
Oh.
I'd like that.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a sucker for emotional scenes, I'm not gonna lie, but this is just not doing it. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not amazing.
Yep.
And then she leaves. And again, that's the short version. Okay, this is a long video game. And I also hope I got all that right. It's been 5 years somehow. But basically, it's a game that is long and grueling, and I think is, in many ways, like, deeply unpleasant to play. I will give Naughty Dog credit for subverting a very common apocalyptic world trope by having environments that are actually really beautiful, though. Often this kind of media presents itself as dirty and grubby and ruined across the board, but The Last of Us Part 2, while going out of its way to tell you how incredible.
No, it does not. Most media actually portrays the apocalypse after 20 years pretty much this. A reclamation by the earth from the concrete jungles of humanity. This is literally the most unspecial thing in history.
Incredibly shitty people can be kind of juxtaposes that with a world that is so naturally beautiful when left to its own devices, as in nature literally taking back the cities, that it feels almost conscious. It's constantly visibly reminding you, basically, that the world is beautiful and worth enjoying living in, while also telling you that maybe you could if it weren't for all those fucking people. But it being grueling and, like I said, in some cases really unpleasant to play is actually my first defense of The Last of Us Part 2, and ultimately a very simple one. I'm not breaking any new ground here, I'm sure, but it's still something that I feel strongly about. This game takes probably 20 to 25 hours to finish, which is a significant hike from the first game's like 10-ish, which, dear God, AAA studios, could you please bring back like the 15-hour games? Like, please stop telling me that the next game from your franchise is
That's such a stupid opinion. Oh, I don't want to play a good game for so long because I have... What? Then don't play all of it. Like, Jesus Christ, how is that hard?
the biggest and best yet. What if it was just best and roughly same sizest? You know? Same size length and best
No, I think that's stupid.
yet. I would take that in your marketing in a heartbeat over bigger and best. But anyway, it is time to talk about Cooper. Cooper is a
Oh, there's an ad, right. because of course there is.
Addresses a pacing issue. I think the fact that this game drags, and it does, I agree with you, is actually kind of one of the biggest strengths of the medium and a thing that I wish more video game narratives would explore. The Last of Us is
This is actually oh god, that's a good that is a good Alana face. Let me really quickly. God, you gotta give it to Alana, okay? I'm making a screenshot, boys. That's what's currently happening. Listen, you gotta honestly give it to Alana because my god, every pause you make is either her looking drunk, while she's clearly not, or she looks pissed. It's quite amazing. And the third kind of also rarer occurrence is she just looks constipated. It's really amazing, her range of facial expressions. There we go. That's a good thumbnail.
Exceptional at this in general, especially in the latter half of the game. You are just as goddamn tired that they are from an objective outsider's perspective. Like, if I could have screamed at them to stop, I would have, and I think that...
Okay, there's a lot of things, okay? Again, The Last of Us, if you look at every single concept that they tried to do in the part 2, it's actually not that bad. But again, when you put it all together, it's shit. Let me explain if you don't know. The idea of The Last of Us 2 is, again, showing that revenge is not actually a great thing. How it starts, the misguided attempts at revenge for what reason, the other misguided attempts for whatever reason, abandoning your loved ones to find that revenge because, again, you can't just let the past be the past. And, then the ending where, you just let them go as you like, okay, the revenge is not worth it. But even though at that moment it clearly is worth it, which is stupid. But by definition, that idea, that concept, is not that bad. It's actually a decent concept. The second biggest thing that people hate, which is, again, on its own, a decent concept. It's just executed super fucking poorly because Neil Druckmann is an idiot, is the fact that you actually have Ellie, then you understand, then you get to see Abby kill Joel, and you're like instantaneously pissed. But then you get to play as Abby, and then you get to learn her reasonings for it, and that she's not actually a bad person. The idea here is, the attempt at least was, to make it so that Ellie is a likable character, but then you get to play as Abby, and turns out she's actually also a likable character. But sadly, she turns into She-Hulk, and she's completely hateable. So is Ellie now, but hey, who's keeping count? So, there's supposed to be this conflict that one of them is supposed to die, because the whole thing is about revenge, but you're not sure which one is actually gonna die, and you want both of them to survive. And then there's the, oh, I forgive you ending at the end. This was the plan. This was Neil Druckmann's plan. And again, when you look at it separately, it's actually not that bad. But the execution was completely horrid. Everything surrounding these ideas was a complete joke.
That is hugely tonally significant. Their revenge is absolutely not worth all this. It is a slog. It is tiresome. And yet here I am, doing the actions with you, doing them myself, effectively forced by the game to endure in the same...
Also, by the way, the Ving part, that's more or less intended. I'm not actually 100% sure about this, but that part is more or less kind of intended to be show that you can move on. It's like a miniature show of, oh, people can be forgiven, people can move on, this all can end. We just need to understand that we're doing the wrong thing. This all can end. That's what the cult and the Vings and all of that stuff is actually supposed to be about. But it's done it's done so poorly, I'm not even actually convinced about this opinion myself.
Same way that Ellie, at the end, is forced by her blind hatred. My favorite part of this parallel is not just that we feel the same emotion that the characters do at the exact same time. It's actually literally about the forced part. Ellie has trapped herself in a cycle of violence that she is not capable of escaping. She does not have the tools needed to escape this thing, sparked by spending 2 years largely ignoring the man who is effectively her father, finally forgiving him, and then losing him to a brutal murder that she's forced to watch the next day. And I am trapped similarly because I'm playing a video game that does not give me pacifism as a viable option. I too effectively am trapped in a cycle of violence, and I find it frustrating, and yet I opt to persist. You can put down The Last of Us Part 2 at any point in time, including through the excessive violence and the slog that is the final hours, but a lot of people don't because they want a conclusion. So does Ellie. And I guess I'm saying that even if it makes it less fun to play, that I find it to be very impressive as an expression and a strength of video games. Movies and books and TV shows can't force me to commit acts of violence that I narratively don't want to commit. They definitely played with a really similar thing narratively at the end of Part 1. Joel enacts a killing spree regardless of how you, the player, feel about it. I actually do often wonder if the ending of Last of Us Part 1 is stronger for people who disagree with Joel's choice, because basically he's making the choice for you, just as he made it for Ellie. He doesn't give a shit what you think of it, he's doing it, and you must commit to it, and she has no say in it whatsoever, despite the fact that it's her brain and her legacy in question.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment.
Yeah, that opinion is really dumb.
I would do it all over again.
What's wrong with you?
Which related, I do find it sort of beautiful that these are games about a girl who is immune from a disease that so wholly infects people that all they can really do once infected is like wander around and commit acts of violence, and yet
I really wonder if she's just choosing to ignore. So, The Last of Us Part 1 ending is accepted by most people as Joel doing the right thing because of a ridiculously simple reason. It's the fact that Ellie's not the first one to be immune. They have done it multiple times, and every time they get squat. They just kill the person who is immune. That's kind of the point of that stuff. So it's so she arguably is most likely dying for nothing.
she, even with all of that immunity, ends up stuck in a place where all she can do is wander around and commit acts of violence. It is just as inescapable for her as anybody who is infected by cordyceps. I just love how cyclical that feels in terms of storytelling. And I
think that's kind of a made-up plot that not a lot of people cared about.
actually did
That's just an accident, I think.
initially feel very strongly that I would have preferred the ending where Ellie spares Abby to be a choice, where like players are given a moment to consider everything that has happened across the 25 hours or whatever that they spent with the game and are forced to reflect on that for a moment. But as I've gotten more distance from the game, I do not feel that way anymore. Mostly because it weakens my aforementioned praise, I think. This is a story about Ellie and her inability to escape from the cycle she's in, and my sharing that inability because I'm playing as her and my choices are really just her choices with some stealth mechanics sprinkled in, and that's a very big part of the storytelling approach here. Like I keep saying, the word is forced. You are forced to do what she does just as much as she is forced by her own lust for revenge. It is helpless and inescapable both for Ellie as a character and for you as a player. You have to do it. You hate it. It makes you feel crappy. You still have to do it. And I just love that parody. Again, in a theoretical sense. Which is why the thing that my next point centers around is so important. There was a lot of controversy surrounding Naughty Dog choosing
Wait, actually?
to do it, and I just love that parody to do it. You hate it. It makes you helpless and inescapable.
Bruh, this scene. This girl can just open her arm and push it into Ellie with this hand that's completely free. She actually can kill her. She's just too stupid to understand.
Escapable both for Ellie as a
That's
character.
good.
I just
That's
love
good.
so important. There was a lot of controversy surrounding Naughty Dog choosing to kill Joel in the way that they did in this game. I've seen mixed reactions to Joel allowing this to happen to him.
Everyone hated it. Shut up.
Like the criticism is specifically that it doesn't make sense that his character would just trust some stranger like Abby so quickly considering who he was in the previous game, and I can understand that. I fully get what you're saying. The Troy Baker, who is the actor who plays Joel and is a friend and is probably watching this video, hi Troy, he spelled this out in a way that really made a lot of sense to me. I'm not even going to attempt to quote him, but the idea that he raised with me was basically, this is a man who has spent the last 4 years living in a community that softened him, and that is actually his fatal flaw. What we see of Joel's house in Last of Us Part 2, for example, is a side of him that isn't present in the first game outside of the very beginning, I would say, because it didn't have the opportunity to be present. This time, he lives in a house adorned with personal mementos and paintings and wood carvings and guitars that he has handmade. He has potted plants and a collection of books about wood carving and birds and the ocean. And when he dies, the front porch of that house is covered in flowers and cards. This isn't the same Joel that came from The Last of Us Part 1. This is a person who found a community, seemingly of people who...
He made communism work, by the way. Remember that. He made communism work.
who love and appreciate him and a relatively peaceful life. Thus is his downfall. Yes, Joel has let himself get far too trusting and cozy and has forgotten the rules of the world outside, including that which he not only participated in, but expanded upon. And okay, worth noting also, he is seen saving women several times in the first game. He very clearly has a bit of a hero complex where women who might be around his daughter's age are concerned. Abby does fit that bill. But yeah, he here has actually moved on from the cycle of...
You don't say! The whole story is pretty much literally made about the fact that he replaces his dead daughter with her. You don't say. He would try to save probably other children around her age. Wow, it's... The concept of trauma is really, really a tough one, ain't it, Alana?
Violence that he was involved in, but the world around him has not, arguably because of what he...
Also, by the way, the fact that these people... Just and I'm talking about, you know, her group of people and what she represents. It's so goddamn fucking disgusting to a degree that they are unironically not gonna bat an eye on the fact that, oh, someone chooses to save someone, not run away because the only thing that matters in their life is their own life. Man, that must be a hero complex. Because for these people, it is kind of not really common, not really normal for them to ever actually truly care about someone else, or even, you know, or even more, risk themselves for someone else. These things just are not normal because for them everything is about themselves and a bunch of virtue signaling that, oh, other people matter, but God forbid you actually try and save anyone or do something good.
He decided to close his loop. He stopped the cycle of violence outside of the patrols, I guess. He found a way to save the daughter he lost by replacing Sarah with Ellie and thinks he can just dust his hands of everything and enjoy life. But when you've just prevented a cure to global hostility from being made, and I say that declaratively just because Neil Druckmann is on record saying that the cure definitely would have worked, which I also think is the more interesting outcome narratively. I think it is far more interesting for the story implications across the board if we assume/know.
What's the point of... By the way, I really don't understand what's the point of the cure. It's not like they could mass manufacture, actually, the cure. It's not like... The cure makes you immune... Because we don't even... Isn't the cure, like, just you being immune to, you know, its spread? Damn, Alana, like, damn! That's another one! That's another thumbnail right there, Alana! What are you doing? Man, you're making this so easy for me, girl. You should stop. Damn. I'm almost getting... Well, I'm not sad in the slightest. Thank you, Alana. Again, she's a miracle. Alana truly is a miracle. But the concept of the cure in The Last of Us world, does it even make sense? Can you make it like airborne so all of the fungus just dies? Or are you just immune to the fungus now? And if you're immune to the fungus, what's the point of that? The zombies are just gonna rip you to shreds anyway, so, I mean, that doesn't make you immune to physical violence. So, I don't know.
That the cure would have worked. But yeah, you don't get to say no to that and just relax. You don't get to prevent that cure from being made and go, I'm good actually. That's dumb of him. You've also just done to people what happened to you in the first game. Joel's anguish over Sarah dying is raw and beautiful, and we see how it shaped him and the frankly very violent choices that he made to save Ellie. And then when you have done that to someone else, as in killed their parent, you don't get to decide that the cycle is over. There are other people feeling that same anguish that he felt when Sarah died that he was only able to replace with Ellie. Thus is his downfall, and I do think it's poetic personally. He thinks he can end a cycle that he has absolutely no right to end, and his, I guess, arrogance in feeling that way is what leads Ellie to continue that cycle. Now, as far as Abby brutally beating him to
I don't think that's the point at all. I think he just killed them, went away, and then he thought, well, looks like I can live my life here in communism land pretty well, so there it is. I think that's all that it honestly is.
death with a golf club. It's like one of the most iconic scenes in video games at this point. Really went
One
down
of
in
the
history.
worst one.
You don't get to rush this.
Yeah, that was not bad.
Hole in one.
I feel like I could be wrong. Maybe I just haven't seen it, but I feel like everyone understands why Abby made the decision that she's like. We get why she did that. Like, if her choices have been criticized as far as that particular thing is concerned, I just haven't seen it. Like, again, we get it. This dude murdered your dad, a doctor who you thought was going to save the world. That exact thing happening also led Abby, a young girl, to not really having value in the Fireflies anymore. Like, she wasn't the daughter of the lead doctor of the Fireflies anymore. Which, story-wise, is also, it's always what I put together when playing the game, is why she went and got so goddamn jacked.
Then you're gonna add some protein.
She doesn't have a place in the world anymore. The thing that made her valued, which again was just the value of her dad.
And the fact that they could not find a single female that was willing to go on steroids to get as jacked as Abby in the game for the TV show just tells you kind of everything, which is hilarious.
Dad is gone, and for the first time in her life, she's just another completely expendable young girl. There are a bunch of small bits of dialogue throughout the game where Abby talks about not wanting to miss training and like how important it is to her, and it always came across to me that she recognized that she had to find some means of being uniquely very valuable to the WLF, which she was uniquely positioned to be very conscious of, perhaps even insecure about, again, because she was the daughter of someone very important one day and absolute nobody in next day. It's like she gets jacked and strong and as physically capable as she possibly can be.
That is an extremely stupid. That is an extremely stupid opinion. So she's gonna get jacked, still be weaker than the average man, a lot weaker probably. So she's gonna eat like 50 times more than she should, so she maybe has enough protein to make that happen? And then she's gonna be valuable because the whole world is dominated still by guns and bows? What? What? I'm sorry, what? Also, why would they, a group of people that is not the predominant force, military force in the world, ever fucking say no for someone who's gonna be on their side and fight for them? I mean, it's not like they have recruits in high demand. It's not like they have people they can trust just all over the place. There's literally no reason for... Wow. Alana, please.
In order to make sure that she is still valued. Anyway, all of that to say, Abby's appearance is a direct result of what Joel did. It shaped everything she did after that moment. I get wanting to kill the guy who killed your dad. Feel like we can all agree on that part. The thing that became contentious is how she kills him. How brutally it happens. There was some discourse about the idea that Naughty Dog was disrespecting players by making a game about two characters who aren't Joel after killing Joel so disgustingly brutally and then making you play as some girl that you hate. Like, the suggestion is that Naughty Dog was spitting in players' faces doing that, and they absolutely were. Not only is that just an expression of how death can be gross and violent and come at a really unexpected time, but they also just need you to be...
Yeah, I need that because, you know, shooting a shotgun in someone's face in this game did not actually remove their skull. Yeah, I need more reminders how, you know, brutal that can be. Thank you, Alana. Great. What a great take.
very, 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 very angry at Abby for this story to work. Joel has to be murdered in a way that makes you, the player, have no empathy for her. You cannot empathize with her. You have to be extremely mad. Her story is one that's not that hard to empathize with before this point. Like, we get it. Killed your dad. The action of you wanting to murder Joel is justifiable. But it has to enrage the player so much that you don't care about any level of justification. It has to make you so angry that you do not give a shit about the broader world. You just care about hunting this bitch down and giving her what she deserves. It's basically effectively ensuring that you feel the exact same way Ellie does with no question. Like, they had to go hard to make you really, really, really hate her so that when you play as Ellie, you are on the same page. With no doubt. The story does not work if there's even one player who tries it and is like, I'm not mad about this. I get why she did it. It has to be as brutal as it is so that you are like, hell yeah, let's hunt her down and kill her. So I don't think like the intention for Naughty Dog was to like shit on players, but their intention does seem to be very strongly to make you really, really mad. Again, it's required for any of this story to work that you are extremely pissed off. So then you flip to playing as Abby, and you learn more about her past, and you learn more about her character. You are still supposed to hate her. The golf club is very intentionally smashing the thing that you love to make sure that when
You're not supposed to hate her.
you play as this character, you do still hate her. It is expecting you to pick up the controller and witness her dumb little life with her dumb little friends with some level of disgust. Like, it wants you to be so mad that you are even having to do this at all. And again, I think that's actually one of the coolest things about this game. Coolest feels like a weird word to use here, but you know what I mean. The interactivity of this hateful story means that you yourself are also feeling this. You have to sit through it and keep doing it because of the cycle of violence that can't be snapped out of because of how much you hate her. It's just very challenging in a medium where, frankly, I don't feel like players are challenged in that way, especially often. Like, most games are power fantasies. Most games tell the player how great they are all the time. Most games, you play the hero.
Okay, at this point, she's so off anything, I feel that kind of becoming worthless to even watch. Well, I honestly expected that from Alana. I mean, she is a miracle maker at the end of the day. Anyway, boys, that was everyone's favorite, Alanah Pearce. Charlangzar. 10 out of 10. Absolutely great. Debugging some... Hey, is that... Oh, did she change her video title? Yes, she did. Whoa! Ah, that's good, Alana. That's good. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye-bye.